One of the best Swedish players in the world of Noah joining this roster. He's playing up against another Swede, Jesse, of Spoit on Shopify Rebellion, and Fortress is our first map.
Yeah, no doubt the two best Swedish players in the world right now. Sorry, Fabian, but you don't quite have it like you used to. These two players will be going head-to-head, and they've already been chatting a bit behind the scenes. We've been watching the lobby, and they're definitely active, yapping across the aisle, but this is going to be for far more than bragging rights, Parker. The loser of this best of three will be sent home in Phase 1 of the Major. The winner, of course, moves on to the Swiss phase where they will compete tomorrow. That is simply not an acceptable result for Shopify Rebellion. This is a team with so much higher expectations than going down in this first phase. For Edward Gaming, it's a different story. We don't need to paint a pretty picture here, Parker. They're coming in with the substitutes. They're a brand new team to the region. They've never played international before. This would be a massive upset if they were able to take down the Rebellion, but if it was going to be any team that chokes against Edward Gaming, probably SR.
You've got the SR haters already on Jesse Hate Watch at the moment. No, when I look at all the teams that are still remaining here, Edward Gaming beating the Rebellion is the biggest upset.
Yes.
We don't even need to use one of those wishy-washy statements, Jesse, where we're like, well, it's one of.
Yeah.
It is the biggest upset. Direction, who was a former caster, now turned player, one of the best players in the CNL, statistically the best player in the CNL, was unable to secure a visa, so they called in one of the statistical best players in the EML of Noah. But the problem is that this EDG team communicates not in English.
Right.
Chinese is what they speak in, and because of that, Noah doesn't know the language. So Mentalist has been translating for him because Mentalist is fluent in English. But you know that delays comms. What if there's a call out and he doesn't know what it is and Mentalist is trying to say too many things? It's just not really doable. And Noah really did suffer because of that in his match yesterday.
That's exactly right, Parker. I mean, you could tell by the way Noah was playing. He was very isolated. He was off on his own quite often. And even though Noah is an incredible player, even though he's so talented, he really struggled up against Enterprise because he was in 4v1 gunfights consistently as the Australians were hunting him down. They were taking him out first. He went 0-3 on the entry battles. So we need a different look from Noah today, and automatically look at this position. He's a little bit closer to the bomb site. He's playing on this sentry, a bit more of a team-focused operator. You definitely can kind of see the vibe that things have changed on the EDG side. They want Noah to be a bit more involved. Even if the comms won't be perfect, it's better than him being isolated. Big pick by On July. Gets the first frag of the game onto Ambi. It's traded back nicely, though. Spoit on the window, ready for that play to come through. Canadian with a shotgun, close on the stairs, wins the second duel versus Bottom Love. Goes down towards White and gives that man advantage back over to SR.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the real test of this team, right? They have been mighty good on the side of the Rebellion on attack. Their big weaknesses yesterday were defending, and some of that does unfortunately fall on the shoulders of Ambi, who has been stretching his legs and calling as the defending IGL. Noah finds 2 kills in pretty quick succession. He beats Spoit, so that is for ownership of the Kingdom of Sweden. Noah now has that one fully under control. It's him and Carp remaining. Canadian goes down, Surf last man standing. Goodbye to Noah. And Surf will find himself in a 1v1 with still over a minute to go. Taking some damage, has to be concerned with the position of the Goyo. He flashes into the corner, and it was a reload, likely blinded. SR will take round number 1.
Yeah, really nice play to come out from Surf there in the 1v1 clutch. It's going to be his first clutch of the tournament, but we know how consistent he is in those late 1vx situations. Really scary to see Noah popping off with a 3K right off the bat, Parker. I mean, we saw Noah struggle. We've talked about it a lot already, but just for context, when they played Fortress yesterday versus Enterprise, he got 4 kills total across the entire match. 9 rounds straight, 4 kills, that was all. To get a triple just in the opening round here against SR does spark some confidence for EDG. Of course, you never like to lose the round, but came down very, very close. Noah was able to be a little bit more comfortable in his role, and that's exactly what EDG need to have a chance in this matchup.
I did like the defense structure from EDG.
Yeah, really nice, again, coming through with those plays coming through from Noah.
I believe my microphone was muted.
Happens.
There's a green button, and green means go. But when you press it, you don't go. I've now learned that out the hard way. Thank you, everybody, for that one. Shout out to the haters who are happy to not hear me talk, though.
I was in bliss for a few short seconds.
Anything that makes you happy makes me upset. I much prefer when you are sad. So, either way, Rebellion's test is going to be on the defensive side. EDG were not a very good defending team yesterday. There's some numbers that I know that you got into and we can get into again, but if EDG are not able to do much defending on their own map here, then obviously things go very bad for them moving forward.
Yeah.
To be fair, we don't really know a lot about how SR approaches this map. They've only played it, what, one time? I believe it was against Team Falcons, if memory serves correctly.
Yes, they played it back at the Six Invitational versus Falcons. They did win that quite dominantly.
7-1 the scoreline there for Rebellion. For those that did not watch yesterday's matches, Rebellion were in action against the Falcons, and it did not go as well as you probably would have hoped on the side of SR. They really started to fall off that cliff when they were defending on map number 2. So Rebellion now need to run up the score. They're so good through one round. They've got a minute off the clock here. Utility usage being applied effectively, chipping away at some of this defense on the side of EDG.
Yeah, nice little start there with the hard breach to come through from Shopify Rebellion. This is going to be, again, one of those tests where here on the attack, they've been successful, but they have to be able to run up the scoreboard just a little bit. Noah, an opening death to Spoit, so we go one apiece for the Swedes, but so much trouble for Bottom Love. He was great in this position yesterday versus Enterprise, but now on the Warden, a little bit more of an issue. Surf will nade Ambi, and that's a team kill to come through from SR to even the numbers.
Rough start for Ambi, but that one's no fault of his own. Double shield now lined up here against Bottom Love, who expend as many bullets as he can, doing some damage, but not able to secure the pick. They need to deal with the bulletproof camera next to Canadian. Surf will get that job done. A great start for Surf so far, 3-0. 1 minute to go. Rebellion right now leading in man count by 1.
SR love their shields. It shouldn't be a surprise for EDG, but they've got to find some way to counter it. Mentalist aggressive inside the bomb site, sees the Monty, but wants the player behind him, misses some shots and takes big damage. Canadian will start the plant.
This is a really rough spot to be in for Mentalist. You're trapped in the corner. Angelai taking some damage. Mentalist with one. Spoit shuts down Angelai. Diffuse kit goes down. Spoit is on the ground as well. That leaves just the 2 shields upright for Rebellion. Carpe and Mentalist. Now, left up just to Carpe yet again. Surf gunning through Mentalist, the long-tenured player, helping to guide this young team of EDG. Edward Gaming, a huge organization. In the hands of Mentalist, they can do some serious damage, but without their best player running with Noah, it has been an uphill battle so far here in Salt Lake City. The Mute trying as best as he can. Canadian toying with him at this point in time. There's no shield break to be had. Secure your kill on Spoit. Why not? Run out of time. You're outside of the building. The round will go to the Rebellion, and it's 2-0 for the North American squad.
Really nice double shield push in through the small tower. Shopify Rebellion looking pretty confident on these attacks. They're not the cleanest, all right? A team kill is a team kill, but in the end, it didn't hurt them too bad, right? That chaos is just part of the game when you're pushing in through small tower. A lot of players in a small area. That's going to happen from time to time. What's important is they didn't lose their head. They kept the Blackbeard up. They kept the Monty up. They kept that pressure coming through. And once more, it should be no surprise. Big Bad Nadian, the old man of the tournament, 29, oldest player here in Salt Lake City, and you're expecting him to be on the shields quite often. More than a third of all attacking rounds yesterday were played on a shield for Troy. We're seeing that immediately here in round number 2 as well. And just how confident is he to get his kills for his teammates, to make that space, and to not give up any opportunity to go down. Even in that 2v1, Troy plays it so perfectly, keeps the shield up. You know, it's not flashy, it's not crazy, but he does exactly what he needs to do to let his teammates win that round.
And while there were just 2 remaining for the Rebellion, both of them were shield operators. Surf was a non-factor in that post plant.
Yeah.
Canadian drew all of the attention from EDG. So while it was a 1v2, it's not actually anywhere near as close as you would think. That was a lockout by Rebellion once that diffuse kit went down. And they did it all with Ambi getting team killed earlier in the round by Surf. Surf, to his credit, still undefeated in this map. 2 rounds through now, 3 rounds in, 5-0. A great start for him.
The TK will impact the EPS score, unfortunately. That has a big bearing. But in the end, he's still going to be feeling really good 5-0 up.
At the end of the day, Jesse, these players only play for their EPS rating. There's nothing else that could possibly be of more importance to them. You do it for the stats. That's it.
I was talking to JJ Blast. They arrived yesterday, actually, and I got a chance to talk with him in the morning, and he kind of flamed me a little bit for some of the comments I made, and I said, JJ, you're playing too crazy. You got to play passive, play for your stats, and then I'll talk about your good stats. And he said, okay, fair enough. So
I am very glad that our social media department was allowed to go buck wild with those welcome letters, because I don't think I've ever seen the word Hog Nation in a welcome letter for a team before, and yet it is forever immortalized because of 5 fears, and you have to credit JJ for that one. Ambi, who started off well below what you would expect of his abilities, 0-2, takes quite a beating on entry and almost dies. Spoit, who's been playing way more active and has been kind of let off his leash, will find 2 kills. He's up to 5 so far through 2 rounds, 2.5 at this point in time. Ambi taking down Carpe, and now it's Bottom Love in a 1v5 with a minute 40 to go. There is a lot of discomfort here from EDG.
Yeah, no doubt, Parker. I mean, Willie with the SMG just made this a nightmare. It'll be a Capcan to take him down. You can't beat Spoit in a gunfight, so you got to find other means, and I guess that'll do. Still a 1v4, Bottom Love, so much time to waste. Low HP, I'll say, on at least 2 players on SR, so it's not a given, but they're already droning things out. They're not rushing this, Parker. They don't want to take any chances.
Do you want to stand corrected there on that one, or?
Nope. Very simple, easy closeout. And Shopify Rebellion, a perfect rotation on the attack, going 3 for 3 on these bomb sites. They've got to be feeling confident with how they're starting this game.
I do want to focus a little bit on Spoit, because we noticed something just with the operator usage compared to Kickoff and the way he played in yesterday's games. The term that I typically use to describe players like Spoit is you play that secondary support. It's sheltered minutes. You're usually playing a high-value utility op. Maybe you're playing on an enabler that has smokes, so like a Sens or something along those lines. You can bring a recruit as well. Or you bring an operator that works for flank watch. You can bring a secondary intel operator. Some teams will run Deimos as primary intel with a Snake as their secondary intel. And intel ops are obviously something that SR uses quite a lot.
Yeah.
Spoit, for a lot of Kickoff, was playing Recruit. He was playing a lot of Nomad. He was playing Sens. And he's played Sens here already. And if he doesn't switch off his operator, we'll do so again. But Spoit has already played more Deimos and Dokkaebi at this event than he did for all of Kickoff. And you can tell that a player like Spoit can pop off when given the tools to do so.
Yeah.
But the role that he played on the team was not a fragging role. And to be fair, when you've got guys like Ambi, Rexon, and Surf, they're already very talented players competing for kills. But so far here at the event, Spoit has been playing more forward. He's still running high-value utility ops, but he's involved in more action earlier in the round. And he's excelling. His numbers have gone up by a larger margin than we expected. And again, if that's just maybe map dependent, or if the Rebellion realized they needed something to kickstart their offense, it is working, and Spoit is playing better because of it.
Kind of a great example here. He's on the Grim, Parker, an amazing operator, one of the best guns in the game, can be kind of selfish utility to try to enable your kills. He played Grim just a single time in Kickoff. And I don't think you can just look at raw operator picks and define a player's roles. It goes a lot deeper than that. And certainly on SR, everybody's expected to bring utility and have an impact. But I do agree, it feels like Spoit's been let off the leash maybe just a little bit more here coming into Salt Lake City. And he's really been able to explode on the server because of that. Playing excellent so far today, 5-3, 6-0 still from Surf as well. So the usual suspects are fragging on SR. And it really does come down to EDG to try to adapt. This was their best bomb site through their first 3 rounds, Parker. They need to be able to replicate that and get a win here in round 4.
Absolutely. And to that credit as well, Spoit has the opening pick in the last 2 rounds.
Wow.
So very unusual for us to see Spoit being that involved. It's been a good change for Rebellion, or at least it's been a good change for Spoit. Whether that will actually matter in the long run for Rebellion, well, they got to get through EDG first, and it's a great start here on Fortress. 3-0. Surf still has not died. He and Spoit combining for 11 kills. We're at the halfway point of the round, and right now the advance up White Stairs being slowed by this Tachanka. Canadian is ready for the Candelas to go off. He thinks he has an opening, but maybe just a little out of range. He needs to dance around that nade lest another team kill transpire.
Gotta be careful here. They're still taking their time. Haven't gotten any gunfights. Big swing on Troy, though. He's gonna go down throwing that Candela. Early pick from July, and Mentalist another on to Surf. His first death of the game. That'll be a 2-man advantage now for EDG, trying to hold off this Rebellion force.
And a smart play for EDG to take advantage of that gadgetry in hand. Rexon now dead by Bottom Love. First kill for Bottom Love here in this match. 3 still remain for EDG. Noah leading the way on his team with 3 kills. Still very much there. Ambi and Spoit now outnumbered. This is an unfamiliar position for the Rebellion, Jesse. They have had a numbers advantage through most, if not all, of this map.
Never count out Spoit and Ambi, the two most mechanically talented players on SR. They are so deadly. Ambi gets 1. That's the headshot onto Carpe. Brings it up to 3 for the match. Now it's a 2v2, equal numbers. Noah and Bottom Love have to work together, but with the language barrier, it's not easy.
Ambi will have 2 death marks in pocket, get halfway through the defuse kit. Spoit looking for coverage, cannot find his mark. Noah out-dueling Ambi, and Spoit will need to clutch out with 30 seconds to go. He takes down Noah, but Bottom Love is there for the refrag. EDG is on the board.
Really nice to see that team play, Parker. I said it, they had to play together. Bottom Love and Noah, they've only been teammates for a couple of days. They didn't even know each other a week ago, but there they are playing that 2v2 together perfectly. When one goes down, the other guy is there for the trade. So I love seeing that team play coming out from EDG. I do think really that's coming down to a lot of the early round play, though, as well. I mean, you saw that early frag coming out to be able to take down Canadian as he's throwing that Candela. Those early aggressive moves, they do 2 things. Number 1, obviously, they get you the man advantage. That's a good thing. I know, deep analysis there. But number 2, they get you a little bit more confidence.
Bigger number, better.
They get you more in the game, right? I feel like for these first 3 rounds, Edward Gaming were doing a lot of sitting back. They were a little bit afraid of this SR team. They were letting them take a bit of map control, and sure, sometimes it was a bunch of shields running through small tower. You can't really do much to stop that. Other than Noah, though, nobody else was really taking risks on the defense. In round 4, we finally saw that from Edward Gaming, and I think it turned out really nicely for them.
It was Edward Gaming's 3rd defending round victory here at the event. Admittedly, the numbers for EDG are quite low because they only played a single best of 1 yesterday. The way that our scheduling worked is that when you win or lose in a best of 1, that ultimately determines what comes next for yesterday's games. So SR won their match. They get to move on and play up against Falcons. Ultimately, they lost that one. EDG lost their first match. They had to wait till today, and now they'll have to run the gauntlet. So the loser of this matchup will be eliminated. The winner will still have to play 1 more best of 3 to see if they make it to phase 2, that Swiss phase. So there is a possibility that SR could go home because of them being in this game. But the bigger thing is that EDG just played that single game. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's obviously partly due to the Wolves team getting disqualified. Not making it, I should say. Disqualified is not the right term, but...
Well, they were disqualified when they didn't make it.
Sure.
I don't think we just sit and watch an empty hotel room and then go, okay, I don't think they're showing up.
We just force the 5 players to run out and plant the diffuser every round. So that would be maybe not the best content, but... we do have word it's just a small mic issue from EDG, so it shouldn't be too long to get this fixed up and get us back into the game here. We do appreciate your patience. I want to, again, maybe go back to that opening pick point, Parker, because it's something that you and I were talking about before this game began. In yesterday's match and continuing in through this match, not a single time were EDG able to lose the opening pick and recover the round to come through for a win. So if they lose that opening pick, they had a 0% win rate through both yesterday's game and in today's game here as well. Means it's so important to start off on the right foot because, again, as a newer team, they've had a lot of struggles bringing back those deficits, getting aggressive at the right moments and the right ways to get the man count back into their favor. They finally get the opening pick here in round 4. They got it again in round 1. Doesn't guarantee them a round win, but it at least opens that possibility. It gives them a chance in these matches, and I think that's something that they were likely focusing on coming into this game, and it's nice to see that put into practice.
Noah is still leading the team with 4 kills, but I think it is very fair to say that because of the language barrier and a lack of familiarity with the strats, EDG is playing a 4.5 against 5 other players. So if you lose that opening pick, and it's not Noah, you're in even worse shape because you are already down half a man. You could argue maybe a full man. You are just constantly behind. It is incredibly important that they strike first. And as you said, it's not a guarantee that they will ultimately win the round, but it's a great indicator of what success might be. Canadians got a great read on Carpe here.
Yeah.
Almost for a second wondered if that was Valk herself looking at it. It threw me for a loop because I was like, there's no way you don't see that drone. It's in plain sight.
Yeah, whether Carpe realizes it or not, he's just kind of avoided a disaster. He walks down those white stairs away from the camera and doesn't walk straight into Spoit's waiting arms. So they get to avoid that catastrophe, and he will survive down here around music. Still going to be hunting him down, though. We're seeing another Jackal coming through from Spoit. Shocking to see his pick rate creeping up just a little bit here at the Salt Lake City Major. Not often a common pick.
There was some speculation here based on operator bans that Jackal might appear. If you're banning Deimos, if you're banning Solid Snake, if you're banning Dokkaebi, your only intel ops remaining are going to be Jackal and a Lion. Carpe blinded out over by Cannon, and it's Canadian looking for the frag, but he cannot find it. It allows Carpe to get away. That was the first bit of action, and now things will likely settle down as we get ever closer to the halfway point.
SR hungry for an opening pick. Again, they know how important it is, just like we do. Clash makes things difficult. Rexon staring straight at that in towards the bomb site. Most of these roamers have broadly fallen off of the top floor, Parker. They've gotten back towards briefing. They've gotten back towards kind of these main stairs where the Clash can retreat and cover that backup. Ambi here on the stairs, worried about one below. There's nobody down there to cover for the flank.
The fact that the Clash didn't move means Ambi knows somebody's nearby. True. Because if you are playing unsupported, you are not sitting there waiting because you can get swung from window, they'll double up, knock your shield, and you're taken down. The fearlessness from Mentalist means it's a trap.
Some utility being used by Canadian. The Candelas and the Smokes might showcase that they're going for an execute. The Thorn stops him, though, and he gets down to try to get back out.
Oh, that was a slow on surface downed as well. Things are going quite bad for the Rebellion at this point in time. Spoit now suffering through some damage. A stalwart defense from EDG. Ambi missing out on a golden opportunity. Neither of these players on Rebellion. Retrievable at this point in time. Ambi walks in, not expecting a second. Carpe is there. What a surprise that is. Noah goes down. Carpe will follow. Rebellion now have the lead, but they're all bleeding out. Everybody is down, but not out, except for Spoit. It's a 3v3, but in actuality, it's a 1v3. Spoit will have to clutch out yet again, walking in, slowed by the Clash shield. The Thorn at bottom love, shoulder peeks him, sees him, can't do much. Now he knocks the Clash around, does an awful lot of damage. Where is Angelai? That is the concern for Spoit at this point in time. Back in. Still looking in the wrong direction. Down goes Mentalist, and Spoit just misses out. Late round heroics from Angelai, and it's another round for EDG.
Spoit does not lose those often. The communication looked a little weak from EDG in the dying moments, Parker. Angelai not able to work with his Clash to get that frag, but in the end, Spoit, I think, expecting him to be farther away just because he wasn't playing off his Clash there, almost got caught off guard by the fact that there was no early aggression, tries to sprint through because he thinks he's really far, gives a relatively free pick over to Angelai. Of course, there's no way for Spoit to know that. He played that so well, but just not quite well enough to clutch things up in the end. His team, unfortunately, had a few too many downs to put him into that strong position. We watched Canadian over towards the vending stairs getting downed. Surf, the other player, was actually trying to creep up those stairs over by Old Tower. He was on that side of the map, and it was a great shot from Bottom Love to be able to get him on the down. Ended up being a triple on the round for the hard support of EDG. So nice to see Bottom Love starting to pop off. Wasn't really a player that got talked about during the CNL. I believe one of their lowest rated on the hard support roles alongside Mentalist, but he's really been finding success, especially on the defense, both yesterday and today.
More like Top Love. He's got the most kills in the team.
There you go.
And you love to see it. One thing that the Rebellion have struggled with so far is slowing down and assessing where the traps are. Now, I like EDG's response, right? The first two rounds, the pacing was really, really fast for Rebellion. So how did they respond? They started bringing operators like Capkin. They started bringing Denari. They started bringing Legion, Ella, Clash, Thorn, all operators that their main focus is to slow you down. And Rebellion never really took their foot off the gas. And because of that, you've got guys running into Capkin traps. You've got guys running into Thorn Razor Blooms. And it's not, it maybe doesn't kill you, but it doesn't.
Cover me. Gotta reload.
Reloading, cover me!
Noah has been a non-factor so far. He sees not one, but two shields. Trying to deal with them both. Rexen ADSing, down goes Noah. And it's all up to on July. This is a tough one, Jesse. I do not hold much hope. Going up against two shields and Ambi. Rexen gets the final 2 kills, and they exit the first half with a 4-2 lead for the Rebellion.
Beautiful little rush there from SR. Gets them out of that first half with some success. Nice little double shield play, and Ambi on a sliver of HP really gets the job done. Let's listen to the coaches for this halftime.
Okay, guys, it's me.
Yeah.
Right? Hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can try trap span and play plant-oriented pushes. Although they have like Smoke, Tachanka, if we have the numbers, they have to take play retakes, like heavy retakes, like Master, like 90, like Horse. So we just, after we have numbers, like yesterday, make sure we have reset, okay? Proper reset. We don't do have, as long as we have that advantage, don't lose that advantage and do not give them anything, okay? And especially now we are banning Thorn and Ella probably, then they probably don't have enough like early kill like operators. So they will play very slow, very passive, holding crosses. Then depending if we have the utils like Ying, Grim, and Cappy or whatever to sense or like to just play for a plant. I think really planting
Like figure out the plan. If we have info, we need to swing somebody. Let's do it. If it's fine and we can play the time, do that.
Play
Right.
the one every time, and that's us doing it together. Like it's absolutely like we have an info on a guy. Let's fucking 2v1 them together. That's fine. Let's make sure we're playing to win though.
If we want to do adaptations, be thinking about the next round. Don't hindsight. Don't talk about the last round. Think about what we want to change immediately. Don't save it for last second. If it's last second, it's probably not worth it. Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure we're thinking about that, guys. These guys can play with a little bit of tempo, so I just want us to be gun up at the beginning of these rounds, just in case somebody tries to jump. They will run info, obviously, with Noah on the Deimos. Okay.
Heard that.
We're playing great, guys. Keep it up. Confidence. All right.
Confident. Can you repeat one more time what they'd like to do on the
Man,
CEOs?
I think he said there's a Yang
So for
Overs.
both
Overs on
top
the guy that
sites,
said
again,
horse.
this is just based off of yesterday because we can't really use the old footage, but they were just doing overs with maybe one guy opposite side or like playing the horse side. And then for kitchen, they went top down with like a med.
Good to hear the prep work has been on point for Super and the boys on SR. Of course, that's one of the disadvantages for EDG playing the same map back-to-back on respective days, right? You have a lot of that footage to go back through. That's why Shopify Rebellion wanted to pick this map, and it can kind of come through and help them out here in this second half where they got to see a lot of these EDG offenses, at least through his first couple of rounds. Thorn Ella, the band's coming through as promised by Coach Nato, and that is a bit Spoit focused here. That's his 3rd and 4th most played defenders at the event so far. So we know that Willie likes to run around on some of those trap ops. It's not the biggest thing for SR. I wouldn't say they're a particularly trap-focused team, as we talk about them historically on the defense, but could also just be something that EDG don't feel so confident playing up against if they know that they're not as comfortable watching for those, especially if there's some communication issues within this team. That's going to be something important to take off the board. Confidence being spoken about by SR. EDG needs some of that as well, I think.
Operator Bands were absolutely correct. So EDG knew what they wanted to do going in. They were worried about early kill pressure. Now, Ella and Thorn obviously enable early kill pressure, so I understand that. But you know what else is early kill pressure? Sitting a guy like Ambi or Rexen by a window and you don't drone it properly, and then you have somebody like Spoiter Canadian there to pick up the pieces. You don't necessarily need that passive gadgetry to get the job done.
No, certainly not, and we do see this kind of double roam strat coming out once more. Ambi and Spoit, these are the roamers on SR. They love to play together on these extended positions, and today that'll be no different with them both roaming towards the south side of the map, over towards dorms. What do EDG want to do for this push? That's always my question. Are they going to go direct to site, or do they want to try to clear the south side of the map? Early positioning does imply they're going to try to clear these roamers out, Parker. And what tools do they have? Pretty good tools. Mentalist on the Blackbeard, Noah with extra drones, Bottom Love here on the Grim as well. They should have a lot of opportunities to find these players out. The Bandit is kind of a fun strat coming out from Ambi, makes it so that they can reliably play behind this hard wall, but not going to help them too much if they're worried about these drones and maybe some bees coming in too.
How on earth did he take barbed wire damage 5 steps away from the barbed wire? That's quite the radius on it.
He's got long legs, Parker. It's
Noah
deceptive on the new
is
model.
very tall.
Yeah.
I understand it. He and Angelai now doubled up. hunting these roamers that you mentioned had completely fallen off, though, so games will now be free for the taking on the side of EDG. That stat you posed earlier, that EDG has not won a round where they lose the first pick, well, they broke that back in round number 5, so it's not as important and not something that we're going to be keeping as much of an eye on moving forward, but still, I mean, assuming that this is SR's pick now.
It is. I can confirm, yeah.
That is good. Assuming that this is SR's pick, they had the weaker side and they came out 4-2. That is obviously confidence-inspiring, and Super even said, keep confidence up.
Yep.
We are playing very well. Everybody pulling their weight. Canadian 1-3 so far. I know everybody will criticize him for that, but he has not been involved in much action.
Yeah, and I mean, the stall here has been fantastic through round 7, Parker. They haven't given up any kills. Now Canadians moved over towards this team too, and you know he's not going to give anything up. They finally get this wall open, which will force Canadian to play more passive, but even still, 2 minutes off the clock just on this roam clear. This is great for SR.
Am I missing something? Is there a reason why Mentalist has his shield away and is just simply raw dogging it ADS style? I'm not... There's got to be something I'm missing, right? You have a shield. What was the thinking there on the side of Mentalist? Surf the only casualty for Rebellion as they've reduced EDG to a single player. Carpe now obscured, and Rexon will finish that off. That is a lockout defense from SR as they'll pick up round number 5.
Yeah, that's the most dominant round we've seen so far today in this matchup, Parker. I mean, you said it. Bit of a strange play coming out from Mentalist. I think maybe just worried about the Clash getting in his face a little bit. That shield can be really, really tough to play when you're going up against the Clash, especially when it's Canadian, one of the best Clash players that we have in North America. So not a surprise to see him bringing that through. Immediately, a tactical timeout being called by Nato, the head coach of EDG, not liking what he saw in that first attack, and I think that's respectable. So slow on that roam clear, didn't really know how to deal with the threats that they were presented. I don't know if they were expecting that wall to get opened up and maybe the bandit was just a problem for them. It's not like Spoit's utility was really being used on the roam too much. Didn't feel like that was something they were dealing with, but slow to get in, not able to stop any of those players from rotating back. And by the time they had shown their push, by the time they had laid their hand out on the table and shown what they were going to go for, Canadian had already rotated over. I mean, it was really simple for SR to read that execute, come through and bring all their utility to make sure that can't do anything. Great shots being hit by Spoit as usual, make that really, really tough for EDG to push in. So I want to see a different look on this next execute.
Did you see if they were actively droning in on July and Noah when they were over towards games?
They were a little, yeah.
I was going to say, because I didn't catch a ton of drone work there, but I mean, obviously that is something that we can miss. So
sure, yeah. A little bit awkward to come through, but it still gives them a bit of a buffer. Down by 3 now against SR. Remember, they lost to Enterprise 7-2 on this very map yesterday, so that's kind of the high water mark. They want to be able to get at least a third. Obviously, you'd like 7, but...
many people say Rebellion is the North American Enterprise, so I can understand.
A lot of people have said that,
Many people are telling me this.
Yeah,
actually,
very
yes.
commonly described.
Probably the most heard phrase since I landed in Salt Lake City. People at the hotel, just random employees were telling me that.
Yeah.
Sitting at breakfast this morning and somebody said, "Who are you casting today?" And I said, "Oh, we're casting EDG Rebellion." They said, Rebellion, Enterprise of North America. And I said, wow, good ball knowledge here.
You joke. The guy at catering genuinely talked to me about Enterprise. He said he picked them to win, and so he was happy that they got the dubs yesterday. So the hotel staff genuinely are getting involved. I kind of love it.
They're hyped up. I remember when we were in Montreal, one of the room attendants was a lifelong Siege fan, and was taking care of a bunch of the player rooms. And I hope Ubisoft don't flay me for this, but I believe they invited him to the live event as a show of thanks. So it was really nice of Ubisoft to do that. I don't know if that same courtesy will be extended to the entirety of our hotel staff, all of whom huge Enterprise fans.
Yes, on record now, okay? We've said it, and I've never lied on cast once. Here's a fight from Spoit, wins it versus On July here on the stairs. Takes loads of damage, but 11-6, you can't complain about that. A little bit more active, I like that from EDG, getting more involved in the early game, but not a win, unfortunately.
Terrific game for Spoit so far. Rexon and Ambi, which I guess technically you could do a portmanteau.
I ship them.
That's not really what I was getting at. But either way, they also tied right now at 8 kills apiece. Surf was 6-0, I believe, and has fallen off since then. But again, on defense, Surf tends to play some of those slower roles.
For sure.
Which is what has allowed Spoit to play more freely. And also, if you think it's going to be a cakewalk against EDG, which so far it's kind of looking like, I hate to invoke this phrase, Jesse, but maybe there's some potential here for saving strats.
Yeah, I mean, 75 seconds left here. No one in the building on the side of Edward Gaming. They just had on July, and he went down, as we all saw. So they're going to find some way to get direct to site. The roam clear hasn't really materialized much. They're not really interested in taking that north side control. So it's all going to be around small tower, all going to be around vending, and I'm not sure they have the util for it. Carpe will grab one and another one from Noah, so the numbers are swinging, but where do they get into the site from?
I mean, Noah's going to be a big hope for this team now as Carpe gets down outside of the building. He saw Surf. We said Surf's name. We reversed Caster cursed him as he picks up 2 kills. Ambi's on the board. Down goes Noah. And it's another one for the Rebellion. 1 round away from winning their own map.
Beautifully played coming out there from Surf Parker. You mentioned how he likes to play more defense-focused roles, or more passive-focused roles on the defense, I should say. And you're not wrong, but that doesn't mean he can't go for a few swings on the Clash, and got a really big 2K in the midst of that round, actually bringing the shield outside the main breach to play it outside the building. It's something that we see relatively often, actually, on that bomb site. If there is a Clash, you'll very commonly see them get aggressive outside the bunk's breach, because there's no real way for anyone behind you to do any damage. It's a very safe position as a Clash, so I love seeing that coming out from Surf from the last round. Gets an important 2K. Ambi getting active as well. Hits double digits there in round number 8. So feeling really good on the side of Shopify Rebellion. 4 straight attempts they will have to close this out and win their own map pick for a team that frankly struggled against their CNL opponent yesterday with a very close win. A dominant victory over Edward Gaming has to feel good.
No, absolutely. And again, we kind of set the score and set the stage before round 1 was played, where both of these teams have something to prove, but Edward Gaming actually has far less to prove here than the Rebellion. If you walk in and the Rebellion are struggling on their own map, struggling in this series, and if the unthinkable, frankly, happens, which I think is fair to say given the current state of this Edward Gaming roster, and Rebellion loses, there would be some really tough questions to ask. But as of this map, everything looks like it's going according to plan, and Rebellion are skating their way towards a victory.
Noah 6-8 too, and I have to mention it. Half of his kills coming back in round number 1 with that 3K was on 4 frags for a very long time. So despite some early signs of progress, it doesn't feel like he's having the impact that a lot of fans were hoping him to have. Still top fragging the team. I'm not trying to put the blame on him. Obviously in a very tough spot coming in as a last-minute substitution, but I mean, people were worried that this was going to be overpowered, that this substitution was going to make EDG a crazy strong team, maybe get some big upsets. So far, hasn't really amounted to that from them. Ambi on the Kaid now, Parker, tries to get a bit aggressive. They weren't initially holding top, but now Ambi's hoping to go for a flank.
Yeah, he was lingering. He was lingering.
He thought about it.
He opted against it. Ambi breaking double digits after that previous round. The high water mark on the side of EDG was the player you mentioned just a few moments ago, Noah, the substitute who is underwater. Not a single player on EDG positive at this point in time. And I mean, when you look at the score, that stands to reason. Same can't be said for Rebellion. Everybody positive except for Canadian, which is about what we're used to seeing these days. But to Canadian's credit, through 8 rounds, 9 rounds, technically if you count this one, he's only died 3 times. So good survival rate. He's had a lot of impact from a kills, or not from a kills perspective, but from a calls perspective, and for utility, enabling the rest of this team to do very well. Sluggish attack for EDG at this point, Jesse. Half of the round to go. Spoit will lead things off. Down goes Noah. The kingdom goes back to Spoit. Ownership of Sweden in the hands of the Rebellion, and they are up 5v4.
Yeah, and that's a pretty poetic opening frag to come through from SR. Sets the stage for what they were hoping to accomplish. The hatch is open. They're willing for an execute pretty quickly here. Mentalist actually playing over towards the main stairs. Their big problem is going to be the guy just playing inside of Infirmary. That's going to be Surf on the Fenrir. If he doesn't die, if he doesn't get forced out of this position, planting is going to be nearly impossible for EDG.
2 nades, both working wonders. One finding Canadian, the other finding a piece of gadgetry. Spoit on the board yet again, takes out on July. Mentalist dies at the hands of Surf. It's swim or get destroyed by the currents, and the currents will wash away EDG. Surf picking up a big 2K, and the Rebellion easily take their map 7-2.
That's what the doctor ordered. Really confidence-inspiring match coming through from Shopify Rebellion. What they needed to get back on track here in Salt Lake City. 7-2 repeats the scoreline for EDG. They will have to win the next 2 maps to move alive.
running out. Throw my elbows up and my money out. Cause I came to get down, so let's run it up. I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left. I'ma keep it going, I'ma keep it going, I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left.
Well, the old adage in most of sports is you're not in trouble until you lose at home.
True.
Shopify Rebellion just won at home. EDG are now going to their home of Nighthaven Labs. But if they lose at home, that's it.
They'll be going home.
They will be going home, where hopefully they are not losers in their own homes. But the problem is that it is now do or die for this EDG team.
Yeah.
They have but a single map to stave off elimination. They might be just our second team that we say so long goodbye to.
It'll be unfortunate if that is the case, but still playing with a little bit of a disadvantage. Of course, Noah coming in definitely played better in that first map than we saw from him yesterday, but I think still hoping, maybe EDG fans, hoping to see Noah evolve and take over this game. We know he can do it, especially last season, back when he was on Secret. I mean, he's still on Secret, but had really big success. Haven't seen that same performance from him yet.
Yeah, and we've got a break ready for you, so we'll come back with our second map in just a few moments. Sit tight. Oh, apparently not a break. Apparently we are... Apparently we have the map ready. Never mind. All right, 89% of you say that the Rebellion are going to win. I think based on map number 1, that's not a bad number. Yeah. This is also a map that historically Canadian and his teams have really liked playing, and success has mostly followed.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Parker. This is a very strong map for the Rebellion. 1-0 so far this season, beating 1 of 30 back in kickoff, but they played it a ton back at SI in Paris. They played it throughout Stage 2, the NAL Finals. I mean, this team, you can trace the roots back quite deep, and we know how good they are on this map. Still Edward Gaming, feeling confident that this is going to be the map that they can pick to play. They ran it a ton during the CNL kickoff. Not all victories, but mostly victories. 3-1 record throughout the kickoff of CNL, so still a very strong map for them, only losing to the number 1 team in China, All Gamers. So we do expect this to be a strong map, I'd say, for both of these teams. And makes sense for EDG to come through and pick a map that they're comfortable on. You don't want to see them come through and try to risk it on a map that you think SR are weak on. It's actually something that I know Super talked about back at SI, and some of the reasons why they struggled was because early in that tournament, they were doing map vetoes more around their opponents and less around themselves. Decided to stop doing that. They've kind of continued that trend, and it's been working out for them.
One thing that we touched on a few times back in map number 1 was EDG's defending, as that was their better stat. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
EDG yesterday, yes. I mean, they didn't win an attack, so of course that was tough.
And they didn't win an attack today either.
Correct.
So, as it stands, through 2 completed maps, EDG is still searching for their first attacking round victory. Now, it is worth noting that they started as defenders on those 2 maps, so there was less time for them to find an attacking win. That cannot be used as an excuse here. You will have 6 rounds attacking as EDG starts on attack on this map. It is their choice. The presumption should be defenders are in a stronger position. So, how long does it take for EDG to show some prowess and get on the board with their first international attacking victory?
Interesting to note here as well, Parker, this is the exact same defender lineup that Shopify Rebellion ran earlier in kickoff versus 1 of 30. So if EDG have done their homework, they should know exactly what to expect on this defensive lineup from SR. We saw how good the Mira plus Impact combo was earlier today, actually, in the 4 a.m. versus Daystar game, where there were a lot of troubles opening that main breach. Not so for EDG as they get it open, and in fact, did they manage to clear out that class shield? No. Canadian has it still up and open, but an awkward position with that breach only being up in the top right.
I was trying to figure out what Angelai just gone 6th there. I don't know if maybe he was hoping to get the shield if Canadian had put it down, and not honestly a bad gamble on his part. Just unfortunately not what Canadian had done. Noah, the only person on the side of EDG who's taken some damage at this point. You said you need a big game from Noah. I completely agree, but it's Bottom Love to start off the fragging. Down goes Ambi, and EDG is on the board first.
All right, not bad. I mean, this is clearly a focus push over on the meeting side. They managed to get that first frag, and now active from Rexon. Loves playing the mirror here, gets that gunfight, caught a little bit on the rotate back, hits the deck, and then gets a second frag. Finally cleaned up by Carpe, but the damage is done. It's a man advantage for SR.
One thing I have noticed about this EDG team is now Angelai goes down, leaving Carpe in a 1v3, is that they don't back away. They will take an engagement, then they will just stop and reload. still standing in the doorway instead of backing up and using that wall to your advantage. They did it a number of times on Fortress, and the same thing is befalling them here. Yet to win an attacking round, and it will continue. Nothing has changed on round number 1. Shopify Rebellion, after suffering the first casualty, regain focus and pummel EDG to take round number 1.
And to kick off Nighthaven Labs, Parker, I have to say I love the way that Rexon played that round. Quite aggressive around the mirror window inside connector, you know, and maybe in some circumstances, Rexon doesn't make that aggressive play, but here in this game against EDG, where you just got a 7-2 victory, where you know the opponents are a little bit nervous playing on the international stage for the first time, coming in as the underdogs, this is exactly the scenario where you can get away with aggressive plays like this one. And even after he kind of fails to get back in, just re-swings back out, says, whatever, I'm confident in my gunfights. Rexon has a really big play there to heavily tilt the scales in favor of Shopify Rebellion. He had a great interview with Jonah yesterday after their win versus 4AM. Genuinely one of the most insightful interviews that I have ever heard. Life-changing stuff spoken about by Rex, and I'm sure you all heard it and enjoyed it as well.
I couldn't have said it better myself. People will be very confused, but I'm not going to give away the joke.
SR fans know what I mean.
Either way, the big deficiency that happened there around Rexon actually played into the point I made about them not removing themselves from harm's way when reloading or switching on to cams. There was nobody covering when Rexon swung because they went for the reload, and because they were so exposed, it allowed that kill to transpire. It was obviously not great, and it's something that has plagued this EDG team for some time. I will say, there is a very high likelihood that a lot of these Chinese teams go home here in the play-ins. It is, unless we end up with a CNL versus CNL matchup, the presumption is that many of them are not going to be favorites in their matches. They are a brand new region. They are still learning this game. They are still figuring out how to play internationally. And because of that, we have to treat them as the new region they are. So set your expectations a little low and hope that they're able to gain as much valuable experience here as possible.
This is a great strat from Canadian. Despite the fact that the breach is open, he can still look down and watch the window directly into sight. A lot of teams will pop the IT breach and then just hop in for a quick plant, but you can't do that as long as Troy is here because he has that vert. Now, if he puts the shield down and it gets gone 6 or something, that's a whole different ball game, but plays it passive, doesn't lose his shield, and is actually going to back up a little bit, can retake that space if he needs to later on in the round. Good to see SR taking the site, and good to see Ambi getting active after being the opening death in round number 1. Finds bottom love for a refrag.
Ambi's been very sneaky with his kills. He broke double digits, obviously, on Fortress, and that one just, it's very routine. He peeks, gets a kill, immediately backs away, lets the rest of this team now assemble themselves. Rebellion yet to lose a player. No point of damage has been done to them right now. Canadian being hunted by Angelai, watching that opening created on the IT wall. Not able to take up much ground. Spoit is here for backup too. Canadian just able to give the call to the Swede as Canadians now wandered back safer into the bomb site with a minute still left on the clock. Mentalist, and it looked like on July posted over by Electrical, but they have peeled off and will now go for something a little different. A great shot by Spoit onto Mentalist. Another one was lined up. Spoit is just waiting and out. 4 kills for Spoit to go with the 14 that he had on map number 1. Now it's Canadian for a kill of his own. This is prolonged action. Jesse, you get some time off here. It's Noah in a 1v5 without a single point of damage done to the Rebellion.
I like Noah as much as the next guy, but that's not a winnable round. Gets slammed, not even won in the 5v1. Really solid round from Shopify Rebellion, Parker. And I, again, want to talk a little bit about the theory on that storage bomb site. Most teams historically would go down to the basement first and they'd run storage as a tertiary site. Over the last couple of months, a lot of teams have been looking at the data. They've been realizing our storage site actually has a much better defense win rate than down in the basement. And we're seeing teams run that storage site as a secondary far more often than we were just a few months ago. And part of the reason is because if you can contest that breach up towards IT, if you can see some more aggressive plays, whether it's with the Clash, whether it's with the Azami, it makes it so difficult to go for that direct to site push. And you go back to EDG side of things, and there really wasn't a good counter to that. I mean, what did they have for explosives to stop either those Kiba barriers or, more importantly, the clash on the IT breach? All they had were nades being brought by Deimos, and the Deimos was in the basement. He was nowhere near enough to actually counter that clash, and even still, frag grenades counter a clash, it's tough to be able to get that util denial coming through. So with SR playing very similar strats to what we saw from them back during stage 1, again, very similar lineup to what we saw versus their game against 1 of 30, it really is concerning to me to not see them bring out a bit of a response to that. That should have been a predictable play from SR, but EDG had no answers to it.
I mean, we always say how tough it is to attack. Attacking is so challenging. Yeah. And when you are a roster communicating in another language with a player who doesn't understand you, as talented as that player might be, you can feel like a fish out of water. And I suspect that's how Noah feels at this present point in time. He can be a very strong solo player, but if he can't rely on the intel that's being given his way from his teammates droning, what is he to do? And he's just left all on his lonesome. And it's not even about Noah. We've spent a lot of time talking about Noah because of his experience, his tenure. But the real story is this EDG roster.
Yeah.
If they have direction, there is a chance that they have a fighting shot at being one of the 4 teams to advance. But there's no real suitable replacement here. Spoik gets picked up by Mentalist within the first minute of action. That's a good read. And the Scopos is gone.
Yeah, I like that caution on Noah. Didn't actually ping him on the snake from what I saw, right? Maybe pinged him a little bit at the end there, but just giving that intel over towards his teammate, gets Mentalist that first frag here on the map, and starts to make things a little bit cautious on the side of SR. Talking about how basement has really fallen off. They're actually going to kitchen. Still most teams not choosing to play this site. Bit of a curveball perhaps being thrown towards EDG, but the adaptation's been good so far. Still don't have full top floor control, but that doesn't stop them getting the kills.
Rexon goes down at the hands of Noah, immediately traded out by SR. EDG still with the advantage here as they've got top floor control. Ambi was waiting for the all clear to light off that nitro cell, but for now being called somewhere else. Keep in mind, Ambi's doing most of the calling now when they are defending, so this is Ambi steering the ship. He's the one that will ultimately be the master of his own fate, and he takes down Mentalist. Canadian unable to help as Carpe walks right in. Ambi surprised by that one. Canadian in a bit of trouble as Surf is the only one without a shield in hand to contest. Down goes Canadian. Now it's Surf to clutch out in a 1v3. He's done some mighty damage. He's still got a minute to go, but bottom level take him down from above, and it's Edward Gaming's first attacking round victory.
Really nice stuff coming out there from EDG. I love that lobby take, Parker. They don't overcomplicate things. They don't want to clear the whole map. They don't want to take that top control. They eventually got it with the Ram getting in there through the meeting windows, but it really is just that pressure over towards lobby side. You know Ambi's there. You know he's supported by Canadian on the clash, but the gun's not up. You can walk in. You can take that fight. It's really big to come out from Carpe. Again, one of our new real characters here on the international stage to come through for EDG, have a big moment to set themselves up for that big round win. Gets them off on the right foot with Mentalist, of course, getting that opening frag, and then it is just that straight push through the lobby, some good vert play late. Again, I just want to highlight this play. This pushing right past Canadian and then beats Troy on that gunfight as well. Just nothing you can do on the Clash. For how big of a problem Clash was back on the last round, they countered it perfectly in round 3.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that does also wear on Canadian and Ambi coordinating that one.
True.
Ambi had his attention elsewhere and seemed to second-guess himself, either off of a sound call, maybe a comms. It's hard to really point fingers, or if not even point fingers, it's hard to pinpoint why he wasn't able to do that, but he surely should have had Canadians back, or Canadians should have been in a position to be able to put that shield down, but these things happen in the blink of an eye, so it's easy for us to say that from the cheap seats. Actually, we're sitting in blacklight chairs. These things are far from cheap, so I can't actually use that one.
Fair.
Good chairs. Enjoy them. But that obviously has a huge impact on the round because Ambi did not use the nitro cell. Ambi died getting a kill and likely could have held that control. And if Canadian is allowed to exist on the Clash, that also empowers Surf as well from that same position. So some small problems, but Rebellion are still in a good spot. And honestly, outside of that maybe tiny blunder, it's been a really nice set of defenses for Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, you lose your tertiary site, it happens. Not going to be something that you cry about here unless things start to really spiral out of control, but we're not at that point yet for SR. Didn't ban the Clash. Thought maybe that would be the op they want to take out, but it's not. The Mira goes instead, so Rexon is forced to change his operator, and Canadian will continue to insta-lock the operator that doesn't bring a primary gun. That's totally fine. He's been effective with this Clash so far. IT Breach, as you see on the left side of your screen, a little messy. Mostly these can openers, and then, of course, Mentalist, of course, with the...
No.
Yeah, Hibana charge as well, not exactly finding what he wanted to. And that will hit. That should do the trick as long as these don't get shot off. You can get an angle on these sometimes, but no such play gets made, and the IT Breach will be successful.
Sometimes they can have a much bigger impact than you'd think. A lot of teams will account for every single piece of hard breach, and if one of them goes awry, you're in trouble. Noah walks in and slaughters Ambi and Spoit. 2 players down for the count. EDG having a much better entry over these last 2 rounds, showing some fearlessness that will force Canadian to be an active operator. Shield down. He takes care of Mentalist, takes care of Bottom Love. And back to a 3v3 we will go. Even footing for these squads. Carpe eliminating Rexon. So EDG will wrestle that advantage back, not before Surf can take care of On July. This is a very hectic set of rounds, Jesse.
Troy winding back the clock and now opening things up, but Noah's not done. Parker rotates all the way to Aqua and now finds Canadian. Massive 4K on the round. Beautifully played by Noah. His best round of the tournament so far.
Bar none. Bar none. 4 kills for Noah. He finished map number 1 with 6. I believe he only had 6 yesterday as well in that matchup. So Noah getting 2/3 of that in a single round. Impressive stuff. And of course, that wasn't Noah's only set of kills. He had some prior to the start of this round. A bit of a shell shock round for Shopify Rebellion, but they can recover. But they'll have to do so soon because you've allowed EDG mentally to get back in this game.
And you won't see it, but Noah has typed, "Wow, I'm a crutch." And listen, he likes his snake. He likes to get aggressive with the intel. It happens from time to time. Got a big 2K, and I think he just walks through the barb. Maybe he's able to punch it down towards the bottom of rafters. Spoit actually types in bad sound. He clearly thought he had a sound cue on those rafter stairs with the barbed wire down there, but didn't hear Noah creeping out. So that's going to be a bit of a problem there. It left a bit of a gap, and Noah takes advantage of it. Perfectly done. And then I really like how he rotates. He doesn't just keep pushing the one angle where they know he's at. Immediately falls off to the ground floor and walks up Aqua. Really well done.
When in doubt, blame sound, blame the game, blame lag. Dude, I lagged as you take a dry engagement in the middle of the open. It's, listen to me, gamers. I don't know if you can hear me. Hi, Intero speaking. I talk about Rainbow Six Siege. When you die, it's never your fault. Just remember that. Okay, back to the action.
Noah hoping to find someone that they can blame the game on just inside this window. Looks direct once again, but some big differences coming in, Parker. They've got the Ying this time around from Mentalist. This could make the execute all the more explosives. You still have to worry about Canadian top floor on that IT breach. That was really where the problems began for EDG back in round 2. But if they can solve that problem, if they can make sure that you can't get denied from up above, flood the site with those Yings, it is really just Rexon and Surf down there on the bottom floor. You'll have the advantage if you can explode like that.
And there goes Carpe at the hands of Spoit. Ambi takes care of On July. Brisk set of action from EDG, but it does not pay off. Nice Nitro Cell goes in. Noah, his aim not in question. He's out-dueled by Rexon. Ambi will find his second, and now it's Mentalist to captain this team in a 1v5. Taking out utility on the way in. Candela will go off. Spotted by Ambi, getting shot at directly from 2 separate doors and from below. Ambi gets a 3K on the round, and that is the ball game in round 5. SR regain their lead.
Felt like Mentalist had 100 different angles facing him in the 1v5. That's brutal. That's back-to-back storage defenses as well that were flawless to come through from Shopify Rebellion. So really confident there on that mid-floor bomb site. Something to keep an eye on later in this tournament, assuming SR continue to move on. Really beautiful stuff coming out. A bit of a change-up from EDG. They tried to go fast. They really tried to catch them off guard, and the entry looked good. I mean, Carpe should have had a free pick onto Spoit, but just misses a couple of shots despite the fact that Spoit's back is turned. He wins that gunfight incredibly. Ambi hit some really nice shots on the top floor there as well. And it was well coordinated from EDG. They hit the top floor and the bomb site at the same time. They just lost on the top floor and the bomb site at the same time. So, tough.
Noah talking about a crutch. Was he talking about the F2 or was he talking about the operator? Noah's played Solid Snake 5 of the 6 rounds. He played Deimos all the way back in round number 2. It did not go very well for them, so I think the Solid Snake allows him to play to the best of his abilities, and it's also allowed them to play those other annoying intel ops like Dokkaebi, like Deimos, with relative freedom. Bottom Love has mostly played Grim as well, so those two players have been locked in. The Grim has really not been much of a factor. Unfortunately, they're just, the way the rounds have played out, those Bs have been good in their positions, trying to isolate the defenders, but there's been no follow-up, and time again, EDG seems to be getting caught off guard with their entries. And I mean, hey, if Noah's playing Solid Snake and their goal is you're not going to use Solid Snake to help the team, just yourself, I can understand why a Grim isn't getting the most value.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to come out from EDG. They'll face a new challenge here in round 6, Parker, a 4th bomb site being played by Shopify Rebellion, and again, playing basically the same strat that they showcased back during the NAL kickoff. One difference, of course, Surf would like to be on the Mira for this defense, but it's banned out, so he's playing the Warden instead. Relatively light down inside the basement, just Surf and Spoit trying to lock this one down, but the roam game is really the devastating part of this hold, Parker. You've got that mid-floor control, whether it's Rexon lurking over towards Kitchen, whether it's Ambi over towards Lounge. These two players can play together, and it's an early gunfight. Ambi gets away the better of it with a bit of damage onto Noah.
I believe there's a certain player in this lobby who, while holding a UMP, said, "You're playing Twitch?" Well, there's a new operator with the F2 in hand, and Ambi with the UMP almost just had a redux of that TSM Troy Canadian special when Gio was playing on Twitch, because Noah almost died with the F2 in hand to Ambi's UMP. I don't know what it is with these guns, but it's always nice to see them collide. Halfway point of the round, not a scratch on the paint of Rebellion. EDG was still everybody alive, only Noah taking some damage.
Worst gun in the game, maybe not quite old enough for that frag. Still hunting for another one, though. Knows that Noah is still just inside of storage. They have that control, and this is important because that's what you use to deny the site. But here we go, inside the bomb site, 4v4 as Spoit and Noah both fall.
Noah did, to his credit, hit the Goyo canister, which could have done some serious damage to Rexon. Ambi now involved in his own altercation. It looked like On July and him were on a collision course from this position in storage. Now up comes Canadian for the assist. Canadian sitting on 3 kills, far more active in the fragging department. 2 of those coming in that impactless round where he was on the Clash trying to clutch out against Noah. But there were 3 other people on the team that all failed to kill him. Spoit and Noah have been speaking Swedish since we got in the lobby, and nobody knows what they're saying, but I'm sure it is great stuff.
Our Swedish fans could confirm, and here we go, Parker. Last 35 seconds. You've got to set yourself up for an execute. They're playing the vert, but this isn't good enough. They're inside the bomb site now, caught immediately with Rexon on the double.
Flattened by the TCSG. That's a tight angle to get past. Time not on the side of Edward Gaming. Canadian might have a kill of his own now in this position. He sees the bullet tracers go by. Rexon has been downed. He's retrievable by Ambi inside of Exo. He'll get back up. So 4 on the board for Rebellion against 3 for EDG. Carpe finds 3! Oh my word! Canadian, the old dog, will have to clutch out as Carpe now holds the fuse kit with just a second to go. Canadian has the position. Can he get the read to shut it down? He's running out of time to do so. Just out of reach. Canadian lets it slip through his fingers. Planted so well by EDG. Oh my goodness, this was a done deal for the Rebellion. And then Carpe showed up and said, seize the day, and now Canadian will need to clutch out to remain for EDG. Canadian will go for the drop. Just behind Animus, they let him live. Turning tail, he'll go for the engage. A reload, and Bottom Love clutches. What a round from Edward Gaming.
A massive attack, Parker. They've struggled with it all tournament long, but Carpe, what a move down in the basement. He makes the play that is needed. Lin Hauran, big moment coming in from him. First international tournament here for EDG.
Guys, you guys can hear me, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So basically, all right, they're kind of shaking right now. This is Canadian's best bet, probably his best bet, okay? Now they are 3-3, they are kind of shaking, right? It's a new start, it's a 0-0. So we treat this new half round by round, okay? Be on camps early to spot their operators. The operators always tell you how they're gonna play. On top floor, very likely they will go like 360, and try to like split very early rounds, late rounds. I mean, sorry. Like they will try to open up everything and jerk off and bait for kills. And mid rounds, they probably, if we don't ban Ying, or they probably use something else to like bait Aqua.
Yeah.
So don't be baited by that. If they don't have any kills, any advantage, make sure we care about 360s. Angle delegation, very important.
It doesn't matter. 3 rounds is all we need, dude. We'll run up these attacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One by one, good tempo, targeting, syncing, all that.
yeah, like I said, let's try to have good prep info so we can see if like we do need to prepare something for Clash, if we did, Mira, etc. But yeah, like I said, this is more focused on doing what we do, not what they're doing. If we play our game, it's fine. Biggest thing to me is like, let's continue to have good tempo. Let's problem solve if they're running anything that we need to, such as traps, Clash, that kind of thing. Okay.
For that.
Play with confidence. Let's have good energy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Long ass timeout.
His name is Ambi, and he's so cool. If you mess with him, you're a fool. He's Ambi.
Bars, Seth. Bars.
All right, guys, let's get this. Come on.
Yep.
Run this shit up on him.
Very nice to hear from both those coaches. Parker, I got to say, I've casted every single EDG game here at the Salt Lake City Major, and that was the most confidence halftime
They've had one game.
That was the most confidence halftime timeout that I have heard from him, Nato, all events so far, right? They can kind of feel that they've got a bit of motion here. The first time that we're really seeing EDG come alive in a game. It's their first time winning more than 2 rounds in a single map, and they're feeling pretty good about it. I love that call about getting on cams early, right? If you can find the operators that'll tell you the strat that's being run by SR. They kind of showed us in that first half, a lot of the strats they're running have not changed much from kickoff, right? It's similar setups, same operators that we saw back during the NAL kickoff. So if EDG have been able to read into that, if they know what's coming, that can give them a bit of the edge. It's always going to come down to the mental with SR, right? Even with their playing some predictable strats, it should be Shopify Rebellion walking away with this game. But if you can get under their skin a little bit, if you can predict what they're going to do, if you can make some moves that counter their game plan, all of a sudden, this could be winnable.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Well, there was some joking that was going on between casters where we said, imagine SR wins this, but it's like SR wins their map 8-6. EDG wins their map 7-1, and then SR wins map 3 like 8-7.
Yeah.
How crazy that would be, because, of course, SR loves adversity. It's their favorite word in the English language. The job now will get harder for Rebellion. You pointed that out.
Yeah.
They have been absolutely and undeniably the better team here through this series, but EDG's got some fight in them, and they are improving. Now, granted, one of these 3 rounds won by EDG was a solo hero play from Noah. Those are not usually things you rely on. They're hard to replicate. Rebellions look like a much more well-rounded team. It's harder to do that on attack. So how do they position this advance? Rebellion dropped off the shield very late in the prep phase, opting for the Capitao instead. So Canadian does not want to go with the Monty, and instead they're going to bring a lot of tools on the side of Rebellion to cut through these defenders.
I do wonder if last second maybe they caught Mentalist on a drone. He was trying to hide on the Clash, and sometimes that can be a really effective strategy. I mean, ask SR about hiding on the Clash. They'll tell you a whole story about it. But even still, this is going to be an operator that they can work their way around. They've got really good counters to the Clash in this round. Canadian on the Capitao, Rexon on the Nomad. You got nades from Surf. I mean, everything you could want to clear this operator out. Even Ambi down below on the Snake trying to make some action happen. Why not? They've got good ways around this operator. So feels like the droning was strong from Shopify Rebellion. The adaptations can be good too. But this top floor is still a really tough nut to crack. Whether you can get control of Raptors, whether you can get control of Connector, that's going to be the name of the game. And it's Canadian who strikes first with the Capitao.
We talked about that Raptors play, right? Canadian does it with the utility, but I have to imagine there was an assist there because Canadian isn't actually credited with the kill. It was either Spoit or Rexon, I believe, who picked that one up. So you'll have to take a look as to who actually got that pick, because Canadian just simply secured the down. So a good joint effort by Rebellion as we now hit the halfway point of this very critical round. Ambi knows he's got a set of eyes looking in his direction, and he will just play time here for Canadian to get into position. Canadian punishing Carpe. He will finally get a kill of his own on July on the board. His first pick. Bottom love goes down to Spoit. Everything being spread out right now by this Rebellion team as Ambi is on the board. All it'll take is Surf, and that might be a team ace. No, Ambi picks up 2, so it doesn't really matter. But quite a strong entry and not a lot of pushback from EDG.
Spoit with a technical 2K as well. He got that credit onto the opening pick onto Noah. So if you own land in Sweden, transfer the deed now. Really nice stuff coming out. And if there's any team in the world who's going to know how to counter a Clash, it's got to be Shopify Rebellion. That was picture perfect. Brought all the tools they needed to get around the Clash, and then didn't even really engage with the Clash until they absolutely had to. They put him as the last alive. They made sure that Mentalist couldn't do much to support the team because they were coming in from so many different directions. They had Raptors control. They were pressuring in towards Connector. They even had a little bit of pressure Aqua side. I mean, every part of that map was being contested by Shopify Rebellion. It made it really difficult for Mentalist to play the Clash and actually have value in that round. So credit to SR. Really well-placed attack there on the top floor and gives, I think, a lot of hope to NA fans in this matchup.
Our observers are trying to show us that Ambi had hidden his drone and allowed Noah to go on by. Ooh, Solus might still be able to see that after the prep phase once the gadget becomes active, but this is good intel for now for Rebellion as they all sit on their drones, waiting, watching very patiently.
Found him.
There we go. They got him. A very extended roam over this basement bomb site now as we see EDG players all across the map on the top floor, and Noah, who has been very strong when he's been allowed to play on his own, will likely do so again on this Solus.
Yeah, definitely going to be playing relatively solo here. Just inside the lobby at the moment. Can move around, though, if he needs to. Can go up those stairs. Can go back towards his teammates. Not a lot of pressure on the cafeteria side, though, to start here, Parker. It looks like from this push of SR, haven't really decided exactly where they want to go with it, but a top floor clear might be the play. We're seeing both Ambi and Surf trying to pressure this top floor, so a lot of map control could go their way if they're successful with this. Likely what that means is they're going to be pushing more towards the tank side of things if they can use some of that vert. They've got a little bit of soft breach coming through, not a ton, really just going to be kind of the DMRs, and I mean the Selma's even already used from Rex and Spoit, a great vert operator too, but really going to kind of come down to what you want to play on those direct-to-site breaches and how this roam clear shapes up for SR.
The holy triumvirate of annoyance as Solid Snake, Deimos, and Dokkaebi are at the disposal of Rebellion. Spoit, we talked about playing a bit more forward. His kills are reflecting that. The operator pool is also now starting to catch up. On the heels of his hot play in the previous round, Ambi finds one, but he comes to blows with Noah. Rexon trades that one. One thing that Shopify Rebellion's also been doing very well here, Jesse, is being able to trade out their deaths, even in losing rounds. EDG is not walking away with an abundance of players still alive. This round is no different, but Rebellion does have the numbers advantage for the time being. Logic bombs going off. Deimos tracks as well for Carpe. This is a tough spot to be in for EDG. Carpe will survive for now as they've chased him off to this top floor right into the waiting arms of Canadian.
Yeah, really nice clear coming out from Shopify Rebellion. Again, they bring the perfect operator lineup for what they want to do in the round to counter these defenders. Aggressive goes Mentalist, but Bottom Love will snake the kill out from under him. That's going to be now a 3v2. Mentalist can start heading back towards the bomb site, locking down the vending stairs at the moment, but nobody from SR really around. There was Spoit actually in towards Kitchen, and they're droning him out too. So good information being brought by Canadian, and he's holding the defuse kit. That's why Mentalist doesn't want to relinquish this control.
This is something my ranked teammates need to be aware of. If you've got the kit, you've got the objective, you don't need to get away. They're chasing Mentalist down now in this position, and things do not look particularly good for him. There goes Bottom Love. Mentalist will join him. Don't bother digging two graves, just dig the one. 2 in a row now for Shopify Rebellion to start this second half. There was some confidence there from the EDG coaching staff, but you gotta feel like it might be going up in smoke.
A little bit shocking how Spoit even got into EXO. I think he dropped the hatch. Yeah, he must have dropped the hatch in from vending because he was almost behind that clash as Mentalist was just retreating. Because Mentalist was so aggressive on that side, it kind of forced him to play a little bit more aggressive, allowed Bottom Love to have to come over and make that play to play around his captain, try to support Mentalist when he could. But again, I really just think this comes down to the roam clear, Parker. Shopify Rebellion, 2 rounds in a row, have done an excellent job of identifying the setup in the prep phase, droning things out, and bringing an op lineup that makes the defensive strategy basically worthless. I mean, look at the ops they brought in that last round. They had Dokkaebi, they had Deimos, they had Snake, the holy trinity of information operators. And if you're playing a very solo roam style like EDG just were, you're going to get torn to pieces, especially when it's a good team like Rebellion on the other side.
They were trying to play to their credit around those mute jammers.
Yes, yeah,
they were
right,
trying.
Right.
They were trying. So while you are still a solo roamer, you do have a way to silence those phone calls, to deal with the death marks, and we did see death marks failed a couple of times because of those mute jammers. But the main problem that EDG has had is that they just are losing too many direct gunfights. There is obviously a strategic deficit here, but there is also a mechanical deficit. EDG's best gunners are not standing up against Rebellion, period. You can bring whatever utility you want, but the only person who's been shooting back most of the day has been Noah.
Yeah.
And even then, he can't really position himself for success because he's new to the team.
And I hate to say it, Parker, but EDG's best gunner is still in China. Didn't make it to the event. So that's always going to be something that lingers over this team. They've got to dig deep to find some defense round wins now. They're on to their third bomb site going down towards storage. If this doesn't find success, it'll be a perfect rotation from Shopify Rebellion. Again, I love the tools that they've brought. You've got the information from Spoit. You've got the vert play coming out from Ambi. This could be really, really nice for them.
Something must have happened with Rexon that I'm missing because he typed sick, which leads me to believe maybe the exothermic charge didn't work.
Maybe.
Yeah, it looks like that might be the case. Ghosts in the machine, my friend.
Wall's open. That's what matters.
They got it. They got it open.
Don't have to worry about that for much longer, but the flashes come in. This top clear is so important for SR's attack.
Rexon has taken over a lot of Spoit's operator pool, if you've noticed. And again, it puts Spoit in these winning positions. He gets one kill, immediately traded out. Canadian get defuse kit down. Yes, he will. Out the window he goes. So EDG distracted by the aggression from the Rebellion. And because of that, Canadian is able to exploit it. Anybody who's played this site in any level of capacity knows how hard it is to win. It's very similar to the basement of Consulate. You've got a yawning chasm that you need to deal with. You've got players outside of the building. They can easily just waste time, throw their utility in your direction. The best bet is to double up. Mental is picked off by Ambi. Canadian is looking for more. Rexon finds 2 kills. And Ambi will find yet another match point for Shopify Rebellion.
Brilliant execute coming out from SR, Parker. We were busy watching the top floor, and that was important, but I think the key frag in the midst of that was the opening pick. It was a bit of a duel between Bottom Love on the Pulse inside of storage, and then Spoit just outside the window playing on that snake. He actually had him on the pulse scanner, knew that Spoit was outside the window, but the second he pulls out the Nitro Cell to try to kill Spoit, Spoit jumped in and took down Bottom Love. And because Bottom Love was the only player on site for EDG, that was the go call for Shopify Rebellion. They immediately capitalized on the gap that they found. They jumped in the storage window. Canadian got the plant down. And as our good friend Ollie was saying, just in that last BO3, this is one of the hardest sites to retake in the entire game if the attackers can get that defuse kit down. So
I said that.
Wow, okay.
I just said that.
You said it? Ollie
Moments
said
ago.
it first? Ollie said it first. I'm going to give credit to my favorite caster here in Salt Lake City, but I got to work with him yesterday. It was a really great time, actually. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we can work together more. But it'll probably talk time out from Edward Gaming here. Way better than any other partners I've worked with recently.
There's nothing I can say on this broadcast that will not get me either fired or banned from Twitch. So I will simply say fun, very funny story, very funny little anecdote. Noah right now sits at 8-8, obviously filling in for Direction. An incredible player who we miss and wish would have been here. It is never something we delight in nor enjoy when teams have issues with personnel. Hot and cold subbing for wildcard. Wolves not able to get their visas. Direction unable to play and having Noah sub in. Obviously not ideal. Twisted Minds also having issues as well. It is really unfortunate, and it does put a bit of a stain on EDG's time here because the question would be asked, what would have happened in that Enterprise game if Direction was actually on the squad?
Yep.
Could it have made that big of a difference? Possibly, but I think another thing that we aren't really accounting for is your motivation.
True.
If you show up with a sub, some of these players might already be resigned to the fact that we're going to go home.
Sure.
And that already can cause issues before you even get a single second inside of the server. He's been statistically their best player, so kudos to Noah for filling in on such short notice, but this might be the end of the ride for him and the rest of EDG.
I want to see a big round again, backs against the wall. I'm looking for a big round from On July, Parker. He was the only player to go positive on EDG yesterday. Of course, 1-8 here in the second map against Shopify Rebellion. He's been one of their strongest players. It's going to be the Battle of the Swedes that starts this one off, though. Spoit, the main character today for Shopify Rebellion. A massive frag to hit double digits, tied up with Ambi now. SR have just looked so good on some of these attacks. EDG had one lifeline to try to bail themselves out in this final quarter. They banned the snake, but it's made no difference on the opening duel.
Spoit, right now, best entry stats of anybody in this server, best KD of anybody in this server, highest EPS of anybody in this server, and the second highest cost of anybody in the server across both maps, not even just this map. That is cumulative. So Spoit tweeted out not too long ago, just, be ready. Be prepared. Remember this moment. And I know that you could argue about the caliber of opposition, but Spoit is still making his presence known. Don't count out Rexen. He's also now broken double digits. Ambi, Spoit, and Rexen, all 10 or above. EDG left to just Carpe and Bottom Love. Carpe did give us a remarkable clutch in 3K. Does he have more gas in the tank? Spoit goes down at the hands of Bottom Love, who will smoke his way out of that position. Carpe's gone. Bottom Love in a 1v4, and Rexen shuts the door. EDG, the second team eliminated here from Salt Lake City as Shopify Rebellion march onward, hoping to be another team to play their way into Phase 2 tomorrow.
A necessary result from SR. They will be in Phase 2, as you say, Parker. The Swiss bracket awaits them. North America will have 4 representatives here in the second phase of the Salt Lake City Major. Big congratulations to the guy on SR. Feeling really good about that one. Got messy at times. They didn't make it through the upper bracket like they were hoping so, but end of the day, they don't ask how, they just ask that you get there, and Shopify Rebellion have done so today.
I mean, on paper, SR needed to demolish EDG for people to actually see the light.
Yes.
And they did that. They did exactly what they needed to do. It wasn't a scrappy or grueling match. It wasn't particularly close. It was just show up, dominate, repeat, sleep. And that's exactly what SR is going to do. They've still got at least one more game ahead of them. They are not going home, so time will tell if SR can be one of the 4 teams to escape phase number 1. For EDG, they were dealt a blow, losing direction. Kudos to Noah for stepping in.
Yeah, really massive for SR. Of course, this is a big win for them. Now giving their congratulations over to the EDG guys, and you got to feel for them a little bit. This was a really tough situation to be in by Edward Gaming. They can leave, I think, Salt Lake City with their head held high. I'm excited to see what the future holds for them.
Absolutely, and we're not done just yet. At least